And good evening. My name is Ryan Belmore. I am the owner and publisher of What's Up Newp, and we are getting results in now. And let me get rid of this echo for you as I use 4 different computer screens. We are getting results in. Unofficial final results are coming in at this time. And let's dive right into Newport here and see if I can do this for you. Of course, we were waiting on mail ballots. We had a lot of mail ballots we're counting on, and we are going to dive right in here. So these are votes at the polls. These are early person emergency voting as well as mail ballots. And here we have Newport City Council at large. And let me get rid of this fun banner in the background so that way it's just you and me. And we'll dive into some of this. As a reminder, there was no primary in Ward 1 or Ward 2. 2 candidates from each race are moving on to November. When we look at the top 7, here we have the breakouts by polling place. Those are actually people who went to the poll on Tuesday. And then we have the number of mail ballots that were received during that timeline. And then emergency ballots were people who went to City Hall and voted ahead of Tuesday. When we look at the top, and let me pull up a story to give you an idea of how these numbers may have changed. Leading up to before mail ballots, the order was Jamie Bova, Jean Marie Napolitano, Kevin Michaud, Lynn Segley, Susan Taylor, Justin McLaughlin, Elizabeth Forte, Megan Landry, William Kimes, Beth Cullen, Olga Enger, and Derek Rinkin. So you can see some changes here. Susan Taylor had 558 mail ballots. We have Jamie Bova remains up top. So the first 2 didn't change, while some others did. When we go down to the bottom, remember the top 8 move on to the general election in November. So right now, these are unofficial final results. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So a change there. And let me bring Frank Prosnitz on here so I'm not stumbling all over myself. Good evening, Frank.
Hey, Ryan. How you doing?
Good. We just got the results in. I'm reviewing the non-partisan city council at large. And we can see that there have been some changes. Some candidates did very well with mail-in ballots. We see Susan Taylor, and I'm pulling up the number of where she was prior to mail ballots. And I'll have that number.
I'm looking at Jamie Bova with her mail ballots. She was doing well before, and she really kicked it with mail ballots.
Yeah. So I can bring this screen over here. So prior to this is prior to mail ballots. This is all 0. So Susan Taylor was sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we look at the election results, and she comes in at 3. We see Kevin Michaud moves from 3rd to 5th, and we see that Megan Landry, who was ranked number 8th, gets knocked down to 10th, and Beth Cullen gets a shot in November at getting a seat on Newport City Council.
Yeah, she did pretty well with the mail-in ballots. Not surprising, though. You take a look at it, all the incumbents did well. Michaud did pretty well overall. Will be interesting.
Yes. Let's see here. So, and then at the bottom here, 79 mail ballots, 199, 216, 246. So they certainly go up as you get to the candidates. So as of now, unofficially, in case there's any challenges or things like that, we have Bova, Napolitano, Taylor, Segley, McLaughlin, Michaud, Forte, and Cullen on the ballot in November. And then we dive down to Ward 3 race. And what do you see there, Frank?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm a bit shocked that it's going to be Marshall and Leonard. I thought Leonard would do really well with the mail ballots, and that may be for the number in that ward. But Marshall did terrific with 221, and did well. He had a good primary.
He did have a pretty good primary. Of course, the two, Leonard as well as Marshall will move on to November. So we will be seeing them and hearing a lot more about them here over the next couple months. And I'm just trying to reach out to a couple candidates who want to join us and see if they will. What other race you want to check into there?
Races maybe, or how about our rep races that we were looking at?
Absolutely. I will jump over to that, and we are going to go over to 71, and we will start there, Frank. And in 71, and I apologize, everybody watching, we are in Portsmouth, Tiverton, and Little Compton.
Wow.
And we do a breakdown.
That was, I would have guessed it much closer than that, but Michaud was a member of that committee that had 24 different candidates who were very much progressives, and they all did really well. She kicked it with the mail ballots. Look at that, 610 mail ballots. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, it is. So that's what we're looking at for Portsmouth, Tiverton, Little Compton. The Michaud will move on to face Amy Very, who is a Republican, as well as an independent come November. As we move down the island, we move to Representative District 72. And here we are in Portsmouth in Middletown, Frank.
Yeah, again, not even close. Does Terry have a? No, that she has a.
She will face off against Mr. Kenneth Mendonca.
Yeah,
in the Republican candidate, and we'll be actually joined by him next week. We'll learn more about Mr. Mendonca. Let's head further down to 74, which does not have a candidate. So whoever wins this is your next rep in Jamestown, Middletown.
And that's not even a contest. I would have expected that to be a lot closer. Not close, but a lot closer, because Lombardi is a sitting Middletown councilman, and he only got 13.6% of the vote. Wow, look at those mail ballots for Ruggiero. 1,039. So that's really interesting. So she got 343 votes at polling places and 1,039 of mail ballots. Triple.
Yeah.
What she got on election day.
So Rep. Deb Ruggiero, we can call it, will be your next representative in Jamestown as well as Middletown. She does not have an opponent heading into November. And we'll just go backwards here in case people are just joining us. So as we dive back into 72 in Portsmouth, Middletown. Oh, my apologies. In 72 in Portsmouth and Middletown here are the results. One more. Again, Terry Cortland, who is your incumbent, will go on to face Mr. Mendonca in November.
Nothing very close here. All of these are pretty much runaways.
Yeah, and if you asked me, a couple of weeks ago, I might have told you it was going to be a little closer.
Yeah, well, that's what I would have expected.
And then we dive into 71, especially when a couple of these were known political candidates on Middletown Town Council, current, past. And here we are in Portsmouth, Tiverton, and Little Compton again. Again, there are two opponents that will face off against Michaud come November. And that is Amy Very as well as an independent whose name I just can't think of right now. Sorry.
But has one.
Yeah, it has one. Yes. All right.
Can we jump into the Senate a little bit? There's some really interesting races over in the state Senate that were the real challenges to.
Yeah, while you pull up the number that you want to go to, I'll just bring up City Council while you look up that number so people can review this.
Let me just look for that sheet.
And again, for those joining us, there was not a race in Ward 1 or Ward 2. There will be a race in November. And so here the top 8 candidates go on. So Bova, Napolitano, Taylor, Segley, McLaughlin, Michaud, Forte, and Cullen. So all the incumbents move on to see November days. Kimes, Landry, Enger, and Grinkin on the bottom 4, and they will not move on in November. 2 will move on in the Ward 3 race to November. That is Marshall and Leonard, both heading off to November. Leonard is the incumbent for those just catching on here. All right, Frank, where do you want to go?
Let's go to Senate 1, and that is the majority whip. Mary Ellen Goodwin was being challenged by Evan Lemoyne, and as of yesterday, that was not a very competitive race, and still is not a very competitive race. She wins going away. Let's go to number 4. That is a really interesting race. President Dominic J. Ruggiero and against Leonard Co. And Ruggiero wins, but I think that's a pretty close race for somebody who is Senate president.
Sure is.
We can move on to now. This one is going to be that's really interesting, and that is over in 6, and that's Harold Metz, who was president pro tempore, and Harold Metz has lost closer than he was yesterday, but lost to Tierra Mack, who is a progressive, and that's a big loss for Republicans, for Democrats rather. One of the big leadership positions and President pro tempore. And as far as I see that race, there is a Green Party candidate that's in there, and that Mac will face off in November.
And just got a note back. I invited Mayor Bover to join us. The entire city council current city council is in the middle of doing board and commission interviews. So as the results,
don't they understand what's important?
Obviously it was a scheduled meeting. As the results came in, they're all on a Zoom call doing interviews. So,
yeah.
We will not be joined by any current city council members, but we invite anybody who wants to join us to do so.
Can we take a look at 29? That is 29 was Michael Mccaffrey, who is the Senate Majority Leader. And he held on to he did really well with mail ballots to defeat Jennifer Rourke, who was another progressive challenger along the way. So that was interesting. That whole group, there was. I don't have my notes in front of me. There were a number of people who did well with that group. Can we go to Warwick Mayor and Warwick City Council, Ward 9?
We are going to Warwick Mayor, and here we are.
All right, and
hold on. I don't have it broken down by mail ballots. Hold on. There we go. Mayor, there we go.
Big win for Joe Solomon over this this Democratic challenger, and Joe, whose uncle was the general treasurer, Anthony Solomon, some time ago. But Joe is Joe will. I'm not sure he faces off in the general, but the Republicans have won the mayor's position in Warwick a long time ago, but not lately. Let's go to Ward 9, where it was really well contested. And again, another one of these 24 that was the only council one who had actually a primary election. It was separated by like 2 votes. And oh boy, he Gephardt, who was the incumbent. So if you take a look at it, it was yesterday it was 286 to 283. It was a 3-vote margin, but Gephardt did well with mail ballots at 394 to 254, and so he wins that one pretty easily. So
jump out to statewide summary just to see what some of the things happen on the bigger side of things here. This is the statewide summary. Unofficial results. We now have numbers for our polling place. That is at the polls on Tuesday. Emergency ballots is in-person voting ahead of Tuesday. Mail ballots, obviously bigger this year because of COVID-19. And we can just go through the numbers here and see what Langevin versus Conley did. 70 70 to 30, you can call it.
Look at those mail ballots for Landman. I mean, he had a big lead going in. It was 2-1 going in. He took 16,000 mail ballots to 5,500 for Cullen. It's a 3-1 margin.
That's a big one. We look down at the Lancia race, who will challenge Langevin in November. This will be in Congressional District 2.
Yeah, again, a big win for him and a lot of mail ballots as well that went his way.
And Frank, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Newport back up, and we are going to look at the results again. Again, these are unofficial. They are yet to be certified. But joining us here is a newcomer on this list, and Kevin Michaud joins us. And Kevin, you got the results here. I will tell you, I just heard from the mayor. The current city council is all in the midst of board and commission interviews. So I don't know if they've even had a chance to review these results. But when you look at these results, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm actually, since they're all in a meeting, I figured I'd take the opportunity to come on here and jump to it be the first one out here.
Well, congratulations, Kevin. You're going to give us all the credit for a brilliant video cast, right?
Absolutely, it certainly helped. I know it helped me. We weren't able to get out there. But
well, you must have worked pretty hard out there, I would assume. Did you go door to door?
I did some, but I think that's probably where I'm going to have to do a lot more, even if it's just some door hanging, stuff like that. I was kind of surprised with the mail-ins. I thought I'd do a little bit better, but
you moved from, let's see here, 3rd to 6th after the mail ballots were counted. So you certainly, and everybody can certainly see where there's opportunity for some candidates to do better and to get out the vote.
Yeah, I was really happy with my turnout, especially down at Rogers the other day. It was pretty big. I think I don't want to say I'm riding Paul Marshall's coattails, but I think him and I have a same age range of voters that we're both kind of hitting, and they're more of in-person voting. So I think I see now where I need to do a little bit of work, especially when you break it down by the different.
But you're fortunate that you have that time to be able to do that now and recognize where, in fact, you have to kind of shore things up.
Yeah, definitely. That's for doing this first time, every day I learn something new. So that's even with this, and I just found out that everyone will be getting a mail ballot application for the general election, rather where in the primary you had to actually request the application.
Right.
So it was an extra step. So
did you party late last night?
Yeah, no. At 5 a.m. alarm to go to work this morning was going on. Sure.
And that news was expected to come down at about 5 o'clock. So you just brought us that news. So I'll ask you because you're on here, and I'll ask Frank as well because I would just ask Frank. Don't you think we're getting a little confusing where we do an election, the presidential primary that way, then we do this election a little different. Now we're going to change it again it's going to be hurting the candidates and as well as voters.
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion. I know that was some of the frustrations. Some of the people I talked to at the polls were the fact that the mail ballot issue, the early voting, the three choices really. But then also people were really confused when they showed up at Donovan Manor and didn't realize that they weren't voting there, that their voting places had moved. So I think as soon as we learn what those polling places are going to be, that's going to be key to let people know where to go vote. Because I'm wondering how many people showed up to Donovan Manor or one of the other places and said, "Oh, I'm not voting. Where do I go?" They didn't know where to go. They didn't know where to get the information. So they may have just gone home. And we want everybody to have the ability to vote. So we got to do. It's on all the candidates, but we all have to do a better job of letting people know where they need to vote and the different options they have.
There's some people who do. They have the Get Out the Vote campaigns, COTV campaigns, that are pretty significant, and that always makes a big difference. The other thing that
Frank, I'm
it'll
going to
be
stop you
interesting
for
to watch.
1 second, Frank, just because I think people are a little confused. So Gene asked, did Marshall beat Leonard? There's two answers, kind of. He got more votes, but two people from Ward 3 will move on to November. So Marshall versus Leonard will move on to November, and then obviously we'll do a recount again. She also says congrats to Kevin. So two from Ward 3. There will be two people in Ward 1, Ward 2, and Ward 3, and then the top 8 of this list here will move on to November, and then we'll get narrowed down to 4. And go ahead, Frank, back where you were. I'm sorry.
No, I was only going to say that a couple of issues are enough polling places, because sometimes communities will cut back on polling places, and in a presidential election, you need to have every conceivable polling place that you have an option to have. It's going to be a big turnout.
It is, and here we are, and that mail ballot number was rather large. It was 1,600 for Newport. When we look at the number, there are
15,000 in the general.
There are 15,000 registered
So Ryan,
voters.
do you recall how many mail ballots were requested?
It was 1,600 were requested.
So it looks like they got the vast majority of them came in.
As of Monday or so, I know they got more than 900 back. This was a couple days ago. I got that number, so the vast majority came in.
Yeah.
So, yep. So
Kevin,
Kevin,
that somebody requests a mail ballot. Their intent is to vote. If they get it, however, I'm not sure that the intent is quite as high. Although I expected a big turnout.
Kevin, not to give away what your campaign structure is going to be, but now that everybody's getting a mail ballot, will that change anything that you're planning on doing?
I'm not sure yet. I got to talk to some of the pretty smart people I have helping me out that have done this in the past. It's a whole new game. People aren't really sure about the mail ballot. I mean, this was the most mail ballots I think ever for any election. Yeah, I know even in the regular general elections, they don't have this many. So somebody probably has the answer. I just got to find it.
Yeah. Kevin, you had a little bit in your war chest, 3,650 going into the primary. Do you have most of that left? And are you going to be doing some fundraising in the early part of this general?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to do some fundraising. I used about half of it, a little bit more than half, just to get in the primary because, I had a lot of support at the beginning, and I'm hoping to continue this, to have their support continued. But I wanted to make sure I spent enough so that I could at least get in the top 8.
Kevin,
for sure.
If you don't spend it, you can't spend it if you don't make the top 8. So that was my goal there. So
right.
But yeah, I'll have to come up with some fundraising stuff, some unique stuff, see what we can do.
Kevin, there are 4 candidates who aren't moving on. I know some of you candidates have been pretty close and been sharing a lot of thoughts and connecting. Anything you want to say about the 4, we interviewed all 12 of the candidates here, and it was an absolute pleasure to get to know each and every one of these candidates. They all deserve a huge round of applause. Absolutely. Hats off. Yeah. We've heard from some of them who have, sent their thanks to us. But, anything you want to say for the those that you ran against?
Yeah, don't quit on staying active in the city government. There's plenty of boards and commissions to join, and really all of them are welcome to join my team and help me move forward. They're all all 4 that didn't make it really campaigned hard and harder than some of the people who are incumbents, which I guess is the case for a primary. But the effort there, Megan Landry, I spoke to her. I think it was almost every day, and she really worked hard. I know Bill Kimes, and I don't really know Olga that well, but she had a great following. She had a lot of people saying a lot of positive things about her, including Mayor Sardella was supporting her. So I'll be looking for all their support and all their help going forward for sure.
Yeah, I think each one of the candidates had unique qualities that could appeal to voters, and you're absolutely correct about, if you don't make it in the election, there are tons of spots where the city can use help on different boards and commissions, and still be able then, there are future races.
Absolutely. Yep.
Ryan, I see your lips moving, but I don't hear your voice.
He's a mime.
Hey, I knew he had another talent. You're still miming. So
How about now?
Oh, there you go. Welcome back.
Yeah, my mic got unplugged.
No, but it's pretty good though. I think you did a really good. You could go out on the streets of Newport and act like a mime.
Right out here in Eisenhower Park. You can.
That's it. But you landed at 4 with the polling place and emergency ballots, and then mail ballots. You landed at 6, and congratulations to you. And get out there and celebrate a little bit. Act like the Bruins won.
I'm going to hand out backpacks with Randy Butler and the crew for the kids. So
there you go.
People out there doing that. All right.
Excellent. Well, we'll talk to you again.
Congratulations again.
November.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
All right. All right. And Kevin joins us. Lands at 6th. He was up at 3rd and moves a little down, 248 mail ballots. And he is one of those who was, lucky that he did so well, or talented that he did so well at the polling place, because that really carried him and kept him in there.
So the interesting thing about Elizabeth Cullen is she kind of squeaked in there, and her husband is running for school committee. So that'll be an interesting. It should be an interesting campaign. I don't know if they're going to campaign together or if they have different issues. We'll see what happens there.
And I should point out that the Board of Elections says they've completed the tabulation. Results are considered unofficial until certified by the board. The board expects to certify the primary election results shortly after any required recounts are completed. And I think candidates have until Monday. They have 24 hours, so I assume it's business. So they have until probably Monday at 5 to request a recount.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I see any.
If something was off maybe by 1 vote.
Yeah, but we're talking almost 60 votes.
Yeah, almost 60 there.
10%.
And then down here, this is a big number right here. This is going to be a fun race to watch.
Yep.
As well as the Ward 2 and Ward 1, which we haven't dove too much into. But it's exciting.
Well, I'm excited that we're going to start. We're not only going to look at the candidates from Newport, but we're going to take a look at the candidates from throughout the island and Jamestown, and get as many of them on as we can between now and the election. And for anybody who still has, questions and wants to learn about the candidates, the winners, we've still got everything up on the website.
We do still have all the videos, and I doubt any of their any of what they stand for has changed. And what I'll do is I'll do an updated story of the 8 remaining candidates, so people can narrow that down. You will choose 4 at large in November, 1 in Ward 1, 1 in Ward 2, 1 in Ward 3, whatever ward you live in. And then again, no changes in the 71, 72, 74 races. The same expected winner on Tuesday night is the same expected winner now. Again, we go to 71, which is Portsmouth, Tiverton, Little Compton, and Michaud will go on to challenge Amy Very, a Republican, as well as an independent. When we head down further the island at 72, we are going to see Court Rins with a big win over former Middletown Town Councilor Chris Seminelli, and there is the breakout there. That's an 80-20. And then finally, we had Middletown in Jamestown, and carrying on from there, Rep. Ruggiero will continue on. She's got an 86 to 13 over current Middletown Town Councilor Henry Rick Lombardi.
I mean, she has no general election opponent, so she will. She'll certainly. She's won re-election.
She has, and then we dive over to some of the other races that we've been watching. In the mayor in the city of Cranston, because Mayor Fung has term limited out, and looks like
well, that was a close one for Democratic nominee for mayor in Cranston. That was just a couple of percentage points, 2.5 percentage points.
Sure was. And you know where else I want to go is, Frank, talk among yourself for 1 second.
Oh, sure. And I think one of the takeaways on I think the legislative elections was that progressive candidates have picked up a number of it's not seats, or at least have dislodged people who are more moderate. So you'll see more of a progressive agenda, I think, in the Senate. I'm not sure about the House, but that will make for some interesting an interesting session.
What district are we looking at for Mattiello as well as Fung?
So I can Mattiello. I'll tell you 1 second. Just give me. They're in Cranston. So
I can go there.
The city of Cranston, you would be easy enough to follow.
I am there. So Mattiello got 818 votes in the city of Cranston. Let me do mail ballots again. I'm sorry, everybody. So District 15, there's Potter wins, and
which is a big win, by the way. That's another big win for progressives with Potter.
And let me just go up to 15 so we get all the votes, because I know that district crosses over. Oh, maybe it doesn't. And let me just check the Republican side of District 15. We are at 15.
So interesting. She got a lot of votes.
Very interesting. 1,083, and he had about 800 or so.
818. So that's going to be a pretty good race, you know. With the mayor having term limited, he's going to put all his effort behind, obviously, his wife. Be shocked if he doesn't. But he'll put all his effort there, and certainly he has fundraising capabilities. Mattiello is certainly an interesting candidate. So that's going to be a good race to watch.
And as if you needed a reason of, you have to jump off now, Frank?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Just looking at some of the things here. If you didn't think your vote always counted, somebody was just sending out, let's see here, council. Let's see, we are getting there. Council District 4. Some of these races, how close they are here in Pawtucket are pretty darn close. Somebody had tweeted out something a little closer, so that's what you get for believing.
Well, I bet you'll find them in. You take a look at some of the reps. They're going to be some pretty close races. But I think every vote counts. What was it in Virginia? There was a virtual tie, I think, for the legislature, and we talked about single votes that made a difference.
And here's how Lombardi did in his hometown of Middletown. And
that's
Deb
surprising.
lives in Jamestown, and that is how
so I
he
wonder
did.
If that, and I don't know if that says anything, but I wonder if that's any kind of a statement relative to where that council was coming down in terms of at least discussion with Newport about a unified school system. I'm not sure.
We are going to chat with all of the 18 candidates for Middletown Town Council in the coming weeks.
It's going to be the House of Babel.
Yeah. When we head over to Portsmouth, let's see. We have this one. Here's how Michaud did in Portsmouth. Edwards did in Portsmouth. Here's how Corcoran did in Seminole. And then the districts. And the districts is a story for another day. Let's jump over to Tiverton. You can see Edwards is a Tiverton Town Council member. He didn't pull his hometown too well at all. Let's go over to Tiny Compton. And Michelle did extremely well in Little Compton.
Look at the mail ballots in Little Compton.
Yeah. And then we head back to Newport before heading across the bay. And again, your top 8 here, all the way down to Cullen. Make it to the November ballot. You'll choose up to 4 in November or before November if you're voting by mail ballot, I guess. So Kimes, Landry, Enger, and Grinken, their candidacy ends. And then Marshall and Leonard move on to November. Right. Marshall did not beat Leonard. He did get more votes, but there's still a race there.
And the other wards just didn't have primaries. But they do have general election races.
It'll be Charlie Holder versus Kim Salerno in Ward 2, and then Hugo DeShantis versus Angela McCalla in Ward 1. Where else do you want to go there, Franco?
No, I think we've covered most of it. I'm going to look through this a little bit more carefully at some of the results. Maybe we'll put something together. The other piece I took a look at. I always like to take a look at the Board of Election fines for people who have not filed. I have this obsession with campaign finances. State of Rhode Island is owed about $4.2 million from people who have not filed on time. And the thing that always bugs me is that you can owe thousands of dollars to the state in fines, and you can still run for election. There's 1 or 2 people on there who have run. Not sure if they've won.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea of how important those mail ballots were, when we look at these numbers, here's what it looked like for the rank prior. So you had Bova Napolitano and Elizabeth Cullen were sitting at number 10, and she moved up a couple. Megan dropped down. So every single vote matters.
Yep.
So, and there we have it. And the mayor did very well for herself at 1,502.
And added to her lead from yesterday with the mail ballots. We had her on yesterday, and she felt she's fairly humble, I think, but she felt that people were at least making a statement that they seem to approve of some of the things that she's done. That will be very interesting if she holds that kind of strength coming out of the general election. Then you wonder what's going to happen with the mayor's position.
And the incumbents did well. I'll remind everybody that Segley is moving over from Ward 2 to at-large. So you have all the incumbents are coming in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sitting up top there. So, right now, if we were in November, it'd only be the top 4 there. But we're not in November, and there's still plenty of time for candidates to get their message across and get to voters. And hopefully a lot more people vote in November than voted. I think we're looking at about 20% of the 15,000 registered voters in Newport went out and participated in the primary. Hopefully we can move that number up a little bit.
Well, if history tells anything, in presidential elections, the turnout is usually plus 50%, well over 50%. So there will be a much bigger number come November.
Excellent. Well, Mr. Prosnitz, I thank you for joining me here on the fly.
All right, you didn't ask about my hat.
Oh, hold on. Let me get what are we doing for a hat today?
This hat is from Delaware, a wonderful vineyard in South Africa that I visited.
All right. And you're still cheering on your Baltimore Orioles. Good for you.
You bet I am.
Excellent. So the results, we'll have a recap up on the website. It is what it is. The results are in. I don't think anything will change from now. Just, stick with us. We will get you informed. We will bring you the information. Don't wait until you have to send your mail ballot in order to start exploring what the candidates and don't if your candidate didn't make it, learn more about the other candidates and vote for the 4 that you most believe in come November, is the advice I can give to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations to all of the winners and to everybody who put themselves out there to run in this primary election. It takes some courage to be able to do that.
And a little shout out coming up at 7:00 this evening. Ken Abrams, our lifestyle editor, will be kicking off a video like this. It will be what's up in local music, and he'll be interviewing some musicians as well as some artists this evening and every Thursday night at 7 p.m. So check back for that. Some of our great programming. All right, Mr. Prosnitz, thank you,
Very
sir.
good. Ryan,
Bye.
take care.
All right. I want to thank Kevin Michaud for joining us this evening. Those are the results, and we can bring them up one more time if you would like. And top 8, move on for the city of Newport. That would be Bova, Napolitano, Taylor, Segley, McLaughlin, Michaud, Forte, and Cullen are moving on to the November election. Ward 3, it will be Marshall versus Leonard. Ward 1, it will be McCalla versus DeShantis. In Ward 2, it will be Charles Holder versus Kim Salerno. So that is the Newport City Council races. Again, nothing big, nothing new in results for 71, 72, 74 state rep. And we will keep having the conversations. We will keep bringing you the results. But we're wanting to get this out to you. And we thank you for watching. And we will be back with you at 7 p.m. this evening. In the meantime, visit whatsupnoop.com for all the local news that you need.